In an effort to show you all methods that involve cleaning, I will show you one that does not involve Bastine. Instead involves GooGone. Ugh, this stuff. I don't like GooGone for a handful of reasons. Predominantly, it's thickening agents that it uses. I'm not really a fan of, and it's more of a glycol base. I don't like it, but GooGone and acetone, so that's what we're gonna do. Ugh, okay. Catwoman on the original Xbox, a very rare and good vintage. Can't really tell anything from the SKU. It was traded in, was it April 4th, 2008? That's fun. Anyway, let's dig in. Oh, see, well that's nice to see. Well, that's nice to see. Look at that. Almost. It's like it knows I'm going to have to bring GooGone into this, so it's kind of letting me down easy. Oh, see, you see, and then you get this, and you get some good scraping. Here we go. Here we go. Look at all that. That's good. So what's actually happening, and you can see it on that one, not so much. You can definitely see it on this one. There's two, wha-bam. There's two labels. So, let's see if I can pry this one up. Yellow, back in the roaring 2008s at GameStop, meant pre-owned, and white meant new. Well, heck, this one might just come off all the way. Ah. Shows what I know. I don't know if we'll be able to separate these two. Well, there's definitely a label underneath it. Probably a new label, or they did pre-owned. I don't remember when we had to switch over. But at any rate, underneath it is another label. All that'll really do is make it easier for you to pry things up, because you'll have a thicker label that you can grab onto. Now the downside is when the top plastic layer removes. So these are, actually I should be able to show you the difference with this one, because that should be a paper one. These are plastic. So this is plastic-ish paper. It's a thicker paper with adhesive backing. This one right here is probably going to be all paper. Which I can just kind of tell based on how it wants to peel up that it's all paper. Yeah, so it's paper with just a stickiness to it. So the thickness, labels everywhere. The thickness of these two are going to be a lot different, and the way that you approach them is going to be a lot different. If I was doing heptane, I would show you capillary action on paper versus the plastic ones, and kind of why you have to do things a little differently. But since I'm using everyone's favorite, it won't show up as well. That's one of the reasons that I like heptane a little more than GooGone. It's a little more liquid, and so it allows for capillary action to kind of do its thing. And I like that. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That's the problem with old labels, is old labels can be beastly sometimes. So we're just working the label off, working the big chunks. because GooGone is not necessarily going to absorb through the paper as well as we would like. So it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier if you take off the big chunks when you can. As we're doing this, you want to put pressure down away from where you're scraping so that it gives a little bit of tension. We don't have to bring in like a card or anything to stiffen up the back. And I've shown that a couple times. But yeah, so there's the paper that was underneath. So it's the paper layer from the plastic layer. But look at this one. Lordy. There we go. Path of least resistance and all. Yeah. Yeah. Angle of the scraper is also pretty important when you're scraping. I don't even know if this will work. Is you want a little bit of an angle. See if I can keep that there. You don't want to go like this because you'll start to dig in the plastic, but if you stay just a little bit up, you'll get into a good kind of dig that you want to get into. If you go much higher than this, I don't know, angles, 15%? I don't know. If you go much higher than that, you run the risk of potentially digging into the plastic. So to avoid that, just think about keeping the scraper low as you go along. And I'm doing a sort of this motion as I go, just to pull up on the label itself. Okay, well, tell you what, let's introduce some liquid to this situation. This stuff, I tell you. It's already annoying. Same idea as heptane. You want to get in there and you want to soak the material, and it'll soak the paper really well, but it won't necessarily soak much beyond that. And actually, since we've been doing a lot of scraping, you want to make sure you go back in and clean off the tool. There you go. Just to make sure that you're working with as fresh as possible. So sometimes you'll see me do this, and all I'm really doing is taking the paper towel and making sure that I'm getting the adhesive off. So, and you'll see that this part, just looking at it, this part, you go, oh, this looks like it's going really well, and it is and it isn't. It is because everything is scraping up. It isn't because I still have all this residue to deal with. So, 6 of 1. A couple things to note as we're doing this. I left the cover art in since I'm not using heptane. I do have a little bit more control over where everything goes. But that's about it. I think for this section I am going to use this little guy. I don't know if I've talked about this before. So these are useful for situations where you are feeling like you're digging into the plastic too much. So you put a card on the back side, and that card just gives a little bit more structure to the plastic case and gives you a little more something to kind of pick at to help move things along a little bit. Oh my gosh, look at this. Look at this. Just put some GooGone on it. says every single person on the internet, I just put some GooGone. And then what, you're gonna add a heat gun to this? But here's the thing. I'll do a video of that. I'll do a video where I put GooGone on something and then a heat gun on it. And I'll show you what it does. I'll show you why you don't necessarily want to do that. What they did to my boy. They massacred him. Yeah, I mean this. I don't know what I was expecting when I said I would do a video about GooGone. It's gonna go really well. It's gonna clean up really easy. It's not gonna leave a mess. Again, though, the biggest issue is just this residue that I'm dealing with. It doesn't remove the adhesive fast enough, I think. It doesn't remove the adhesive fast enough to justify the ridiculous amount of residue that it leaves. And so it's just kind of like, it's okay if that's all you have, but man, it is not. There are better options out there than this. I mean, here's the deal. This is covered in GooGone. Covered in it. And I'm sitting here having to go back and clean again, even though this is covered in GooGone. Okay, so, you know, pro GooGone people, please tell me why that. And I can't feel it because of the gloves, but I can tell that this is just a lot more slick and a lot more gooey. Yeah, you can see it. I don't get it. I don't get it. I really don't. I mean, and it just a constant layer of plasticky, oily, acetone, just film on here that you're just like, well, let me just put some GooGone on it and it'll clean it right off. No, it won't. And I mean, I'm at the point now where, but then it always dries when you don't want it to. I'm at the point now where if I were to put too much GooGone on the cover art, you know, it's just like, well, I've ruined it. Yeah, it just does not dry fast enough for my liking. So I don't know. There are better ways out there. There are better alternatives out there. So it's not necessarily the tried and true method, is what I'm saying. You know, just because it has worked in the past doesn't mean that it's the best way to go about things. I mean, and, like, look at all of this. Like, look at all that. You know, and I would get that with, there's oil everywhere. I would get that with heptane, but it wouldn't be as prominent, you know, and it'd be something that I could go over it and dry it once or twice. Do you see that? That's what I mean. Okay, let little shiny area right there, right? Okay. So we add a little GooGone, right? And then we wipe it off. And it's still there. So you have to go back over 8 million times. And if you smell it, it's still there. I don't know. I just know I'm not the biggest fan of it. And this is the issue, is that you're not seeing the capillary action from it because there's a thickening agent. So you're not seeing it absorb throughout, and you're not seeing a quick soaking of the paper. You know, that's resting on the surface. And then watch, I sit there and I still have to scrape at it to get it up. Okay. I see, that's my problem. So I'll show you, let me show you real quickly the alternative, okay? So people are like, man, that guy's so crazy about heptane. Let me show you why. I think this is just the cat's pajamas. The bee's lower legs, you know what I mean? So heptane on this, okay, ready? Pretty much the same, I don't have any place to put it. Pretty much the same kind of soaking. Okay, well, not quite. Ready? And look at that. Clean, smooth. I don't know. You know, it's... And there's nothing under there. The heptane has already dried. So I can take the rest of my heptane here and apply it to this, okay? And just peel it off. That's it. I mean, that's it. That's, you know, and once we reach the part where the GooGone was there, I add heptane to it. Yeah, but remember, just a second ago, I was sitting there scraping and going to town, trying to get the GooGone to release. So I don't know. I don't know what you kids want. GooGone serves its purpose. You know, it's something that people have readily available. It's something that people may very well have just somewhere in their house. I get that. But, you know, if you want to do this, yeah, still, just, I don't know if you can see that, still greasy. Greasy. Yeah, can you see that? It's leaving me like a greasy... At any rate, just so negative about it. That is cleaning with GooGone. Just spread the oils everywhere. So that's it. That's kind of what I wanted to show is that I can use this, and I do use this, and I will use this, and I will continue to use it, but for me there are better choices than this. This is not, even the cap doesn't go on right. You see that? For me, this is not the end-all be-all. For me, this is a means to an end that a lot of people probably have, you know, because I mean, this is heptane. This is a little different. This is something you have to order. You can still get it through Amazon, you know, if you want to. And it's a chemical, and it's dangerous, and it's a skin irritant, and it's flammable, and all that stuff. him. First aid treatment. For sensitive skin, wear gloves. Contains petroleum distillate. So, I should mention, the thing that I'm complaining about the greasiness is the petroleum distillate. There is no petroleum distillate in this. There is petroleum distillate in this, which is what makes it do what it does, basically, is the petroleum distillate in this. So it helps to release the plastics, that kind of thing. You can still see the residue. So then you have to go back and then you have to wipe it off. This thing still needs to get a cleaning, but it's too many steps. You know, when I could go in with heptane and I could do the same thing, and not have the petroleum leftovers here. I'll do more videos with GooGone to show you when you can and can't use it. There are some times, like 1 or 2, that I prefer it over the heptane, but honestly, yeah, I'm not a fan. But hey, it's phosphate free. Yeah. They do make one that is organic. That is something I've been messing around with just because I want to develop more organic cleaning for people. At any rate, the point of this was to show you some label removals. We did that. This still has to get a wipe down and a cleaning, probably inside and out. Actually, inside looks pretty good. Yeah, this could use a little bit of shine. But this is, yeah, Amaray. So this is an authentic Xbox cartridge, which is good to see. That's just production run stuff. Yeah, it just needs a little cleaning. But this was to show removing labels with GooGone and what goes into it. So tools we used GooGone. There's a bunch of different kinds, but you want just the basic adhesive remover. You don't want anything too fancy. The less chemicals, the better, always. We used a scraper, which I actually have to clean it off a little bit. We used a scraper. Boop, boop, boop. And you'll notice that this is for GooGone and acetone only. So this is not one that I would use on Bestine. So I have, you probably can't even read anymore, Bestine only ones. And then I have GooGone ones. So my red ones are for GooGone and any acetones, any petroleum based. And then my white ones are for heptane. I got a lot more white ones than I do red ones. And then we used, just for the real quick demo, we used heptane and the white scraper as per usual. Q-tips, as always. You always want to keep a bunch of these on hand. Cotton swabs, whatever you want to call them. And you want to try to buy them as cheap as you can because you will go through them very quickly. I like them when they're a little more fluffed out like that. Tweezers, we didn't really use because it didn't really help too much. But as always, clean them regularly so you hear that. Otherwise, you'll hear a dull sort of snapping sound. These I got, I think, from Amazon, probably from Amazon. It's just another form of a little scraper. I kind of like these a little more because I can work with them a little bit, but it doesn't have the surface area. So the difference between these two and why I like this more is that this has a great big surface area to work with. So I can get underneath the label and really pull it up. With these, it's a smaller surface area. It's not as rounded, and it's a little more aggressive of a tilt. And you can kind of see the aggressiveness of the tilt compared to these scrapers. At any rate, use this to kind of get. So these are good on edges and things like this, where this might necessarily be a little bit of an overkill to get on there. These can get in the little tight places and pry off the labels on the side. That's about it. As always, let me know any questions or anything. Like I said, my problem with GooGone, I have a lot of different problems with GooGone, but my main problem is just the residue that it leaves and how quickly you can turn over a good clean. I like heptane and how quickly you have to work with it. So doesn't mean you can't use it though. I will try to make more videos showing GooGone and some videos with IPA so people can know how to use them and use them effectively. Until then, again, you know, drop me comments. Let me know what other things you want to see more of. I have a couple of Nintendo cartridges with marker on them. I'm going to do videos for those. I have just cleaning controllers. I have a couple of cleaning controller videos that are going to come up that just show you where to clean controllers. But I want to hear from you guys about where you want me to focus on. And you'll see a lot of videos that I'm doing. A lot of them are for the archive too. So a lot of them are going to be the bread and butter, you know, how do you do GooGone on an Xbox? How do you do heptane on an Xbox? How do you clean a case? You know, just a lot of the routine stuff to kind of build up the archive. So send me ideas, send me stuff that you want to see, that you want to see me tearing apart and opening or cleaning or fixing up or anything, because I want to make sure that this is something that you guys feel like you can get some benefit out of. So, as always, drop me a line, let me know. I'm still working on the Twitch. I got to figure out how to do Twitch, but at that point, I'll do another one of these. I have a stack of PS2 cases and a stack of PS3 cases that'll show you how to clean them in bulk. So you can go out and buy bulk cases on your own and really clean up your own stuff. I'll also work on my camera mount so it's not as shaky. Anyway, till next time, see you guys.